concepts, or what are the main OOPS concepts. So I usually go with four things, like abstraction, encapsulation, polymorphism, and inheritance. So there are association, composition, aggregation as well, but mostly I go with this four only. Like, what is inheritance? Inheritance is a process where one class acquires the properties of another. Encapsulation in Java is a mechanism of wrapping up the data and code together as a single unit. And here there can be a counter question, like how do we mm, get achieve encapsulation. So by using private variables and public setters and getters, we will we achieve the encapsulation here. Then comes abstraction. What is abstraction? Abstraction is a methodology of hiding the implementation details from the user and only providing the functionality to the user. So what abstraction actually means, like, we are hiding the what I can say, the complex logic from the end user, simply we can say that. Then comes polymorphism. Polymorphism is nothing but the ability of a variable or function or object to take multiple forms, like depending upon the object that it is acting, the method performs the same method acts differently. There are two types of polymorphism again, like dynamic polymorphism and static polymorphism. So dynamic polymorphism, like at the compile time itself we know what will happen, which method will get executed. But in dynamic polymorphism, it is a different case, like at the runtime on what object the method is getting called, that method will get executed. So this was about the OOPS concept, and you can give the definition of class, object, everything comes under this. I usually prefer going with these four things, like inheritance, encapsulation, abstraction, and polymorphism. So mostly interviewers are happy with this. Coming to the next question. Next question is difference between comparator and comparable in Java. So one of the most important question to check whether you have hands-on experience on this or not. So firstly, coming to the difference. So basically these two interfaces are used for sorting. So if at all we want to go for natural sorting, we go with comparable, and if at all we want to have a customized ordering or sorting, we go with comparator. And comparator, what I can say, we have compare method which take two arguments, method arguments. Comparable is is having compare to method. We can and comparable interface is in Java util, and comparable interface is from java.lang package. When I have to, like, this is one of the, like I said, this is one of the major difference I say whenever I have to answer this question. Like, whenever I have access to a class, then I go with comparable. If at all I am not having access to the class directly, then or else if at all I am reading a class from jar, I am getting that class, then I'll go with comparator. So because whenever a class extends implements comparable in the same class, we need to have that we need to override the compare to method, and we need to give our logic. But coming to comparator, we can have a separate class, and by mentioning the class type we can have different comparator class altogether. So this is how I answer. So why, coming to the next question, what is the difference between interface and abstract class in Java? So before Java 8, there were huge differences between comparator, between interface and abstraction. Like, interface we used to have only abstract method, but in abstract class we used to have both abstract and concrete methods. So now with the Java 8, what the difference has mostly erased. What I can say, the difference is minimized now. But still there are few things that remains, like still a class can extend only one class, but it can implement different interfaces, multiple interfaces. And what I can say, we still don't have constructor inside interface. What we can have a constructor inside abstract class, and we can, if at all there is a main method, I think we can run even abstract class, but that is not possible with the interface. So these are the differences that I say whenever I have encountered this question. So this is about the differences. Coming to the next question, difference between fail-safe and fail-fast iterators in Java. So as the name suggests, fails fast and fail safely. Fail fast, fail immediately. So what does that mean? So whenever a fail fast iterator throws concurrent modification exception as soon as it detects any change on the collection object that we are iterating or that we are traversing. This is because it internally maintains a mod count, so number of objects that are present. If at all anything is getting added or anything is getting removed, at that time this mod count will change, and which in turn that uh, says that suppose there is some problem in that iterator that you are traversing currently, and immediately it will throw concurrent modification exception. But failsafe works differently. It traverses over the a copy of the collection object. It doesn't traverse on the original collection, but it traverses on the copy. So failsafe works like we can say like fail fast iterator works on the live collection live object, but whereas failsafe works on the copy of the object. So this is how we can answer this. And you we use failsafe iterator when we are not bothered about collection to be modified during iteration, as fail fast iterator will not allow that. So if at all there is a scenario like even though the objects are changing in the inside the collection, and if we don't want to throw an exception, at that time we'll go with fail safe iterator. It just by having a copy of there is one method, so we can use that method and say that, do that. Coming to the next question, can we override private or static methods in Java? So to be honest, this is a bit tricky question. Private, to be honest, we cannot, because the scope itself will not come into the child class, so we cannot override a straightforward answer. But static method, it's a bit tricky. So whenever we are having a same static method inside child class, so basically we can have that, but what happens here is it will like what I can, it will hide the parent class object, parent class method. So that is one more important interview question, like like what is method hiding comes into picture. Method hiding also it's the same thing, like we are having a both is static method both inside a parent class and inside a child class, and child class will hide the parent class static method. So as said, we cannot override private methods as the scope itself is not accessible. The scope itself is not there to override. So the next question is, what is an association, aggregation, and composition? So this mainly comes under oops concepts only, but still this is being asked as a theoretical question, you can say. So this is how we can explain. So association is a relationship where all the objects have their own life cycle and there is no owner. Let us take an example of teacher and student. Like multiple students can associate with a single teacher, and a single student can associate with multiple teachers, but there is no ownership between the objects and both have their own life cycles. The relationship can be one to one, one to many, many to one, one, like that. So that is what is association. And coming to aggregation, aggregation is nothing but a specialized form of association where all the objects have their own life cycle, but there is an ownership, and child object cannot belong to another parent object. So example is there like department and teacher, we can take and we can explain that. Coming to composition, composition also is a specialized form of aggregation, and it is like uh, the child object cannot sustain without the parent. We can take house and rooms. Example, a room cannot individually survive. If at all there is a house, then there are rooms. If there is no house, the rooms will also not be present. So this is how we can, this is how I answer. So next question is, how do you override, when do you override hash code and equals method? So most of that we directly say whenever we use hash map, we override hash code and equals method. But to be honest, we can, it depends. Basically, like whenever necessary, we override this, especially if you want to do an equality check based upon business logic rather than object equality. Like if at all I'm going to say like two employee objects are same only if their employee ID is same, so I will override hash code and equals method. In the equals method, I'll write the logic like if at all these two content is same of the IDs, then these two objects should, that equals method should return true, and we are saying that these two objects are equal. And one more point to add is also like overriding both this method is a must if we use them as a key in hash map. Like this is the most, this is the first answer that people give, like whenever we are using something as a key, then we go for overriding hash code and equals method. Like as part of equals hash code contract in Java, we when we override equals, we must override hash code as well. So that this is the answer that I give. So coming to the next question, like what is the impact, like what is the performance impact if at all we are not overriding hash code method. So basically hash collision, there are high chances that hash collision will happen. Like as per my knowledge, a poor hash function will result in the frequent collision in hash map, which eventually increase the time of adding an object or getting an object on the hash map. But in if at all we are using Java 8, this is minimized. Like after a certain threshold, instead of linked list, what we have, like we use binary tree now. So which will like what you can say, like the performance a bit is increased, even though a pure hash code method is written, as it is using tree tree binary tree, so it won't have that much impact. Coming to the next question, how does substring inside string work? So this is one of the important interview question if you are having really 2 to 4 years of experience candidates. So how does it works? So basically substrings create a new object out of source string by taking a portion of original string. The reason why they ask this question is, earlier to Java 1.7, this used to work in a different way. So whenever we used to do a substring method, it used to get like what we can say, like hold the reference of the original character array, which means that even a substring of like a 2 to 3 character can prevent 1 GB character array from garbage collection by like by holding a strong reference there. So that was the problem in string substring method. So after this issue was resolved in 1.7, like now a new object is created, that is a drawback, but still uh, like the above mentioned problem is resolved, like holding the strong reference is removed from the original character array. So this is about substring method. Next question is, what is try with resource in Java 7? Java, like basically in Java, this is one of the feature that was introduced in Java 7. So before Java 7 there was no auto resource management, like we should explicitly close the resource whichever we are using. So usually it was done in the finally block of try catch statement. This approach used to cause memory leak at times when we forgot to close the resource. But from Java 7, we can create resources in the try block and use it. Java takes care, like basically it is, the resources are implementing auto closable interface, so that will take care of closing the resource automatically. So that is what is try with resource. Instead of we concentrating on the closing of resource, the framework automatically take care of that thing. Explain about class loader in Java. One of the important question again. Java class loader is a program that loads bytecode program into memory when we want to access any class. We can create our own class loader by extending class loader class and overriding class load class and string name method. Like basically overloading class load class method, we can have our own class loader. So after that, basically there will be a counter question like what are the different types of class loaders. So coming to the different types of class loader, first one is bootstrap class loader. It loads JDK internal classes, typically loads rt.jar and other core classes. Then comes extension class loader. It loads classes from JDK extension directory, usually Java home lib ext whatever present in this directory. So those are loaded as part of this. Then comes system class loader. It loads classes from the current class path that can be set while invoking a program using class path command line options. So these are some questions that I wanted to share as part of this series, and there are many to come. As the video is becoming big, so I thought of sharing it in bits and pieces. And thank you for watching. I hope you like this video, or this video might help you in cracking your interviews. Thank you for watching.